Shedeur Sanders, the quarterback for Brown, has flatly refused to take part in team practices after head coach Kevin Stefanski humiliated him in front of the public following Saturday's Rams preseason game, according to sources. This is not a small disagreement. This indicates a total breakdown in the relationship between the head coach and the franchise quarterback. Realizing this right away goes beyond the usual adjustment tensions experienced by rookies. This means that everything Cleveland built during the offseason program is at risk due to an organizational crisis. According to reports, the altercation broke out in the visitors' locker room right after Brown's 24-21 preseason defeat. Despite the quarterback's respectable performance, completing 18 of 25 passes, generating 227 yards and orchestrating 2 touchdown drives, multiple sources report that Stefanski's post-game remarks unexpectedly turned hostile towards Sanders. According to witnesses, Stefanski carefully examined Sanders' third-quarter interception, raising concerns about grid progressions, critiquing pocket management, and pointing out basic comprehension gaps. The most damaging was when Stefanski allegedly told the entire roster that Dylan Gabriel should get more first-team reps going forward. According to reports, veterans looked at each other in shock. Uncomfortable shifts were made by offensive linemen. The message was crystal clear. Sanders received more than just criticism. He was publicly discredited. Don't take this as a sign of severity. The young quarterback's initial response was characterized by sources close to Sanders as controlled rage. No confrontation, no outbursts, just calculating cold silence. According to reports, one offensive coordinator made a private approach to Sanders in an effort to limit the harm. The reaction froze onlookers. According to reports, Sanders said bluntly, "Message received, actions have consequences." He left the stadium without speaking to the media, thanking his teammates, or performing his customary post-game rituals. That was when the standoff started. Let's look at what happened next. The planned filming session is on Sunday. Sanders is not there. Installation is scheduled for Monday. Sanders is nowhere. Practice on Tuesday. Sanders' locker hasn't been touched. Managers of the equipment attest that he has not retrieved the playbook iPad. There is no communication about treatment schedules, according to training staff. Coaches are positioned to receive automated message responses. Passive resistance is not what this is. This is a total lack of interest in one's work. Organizational sources characterize the atmosphere as a minefield. No one talks candidly about the situation, but everyone understands the ramifications. The context of the performance is crucial. Given the circumstances, Sanders' preseason stats are truly impressive. 72% completion rate with a quarterback rating of over 95. More significantly, defensive players acknowledge the competitive intensity during practice sessions. Offensive linemen appreciate protection adjustments, receivers praise timing, and teammates respond favorably to leadership style. Nevertheless, Stefanski decided against private correction in favor of public criticism. Why? Sources point to more complex dynamics involving disputes over organizational philosophy. This is where things get really complicated. The disintegration of internal power structures is evident. According to reports, ownership is incensed about Sanders' absence and is calling for an immediate solution. General Manager Andrew Berry, who privately questioned Stefanski's strategy, was torn between defending the offensive coordinator's valuable asset and endorsing coaching authority. Despite trying to project unity, veterans are picking sides. Before the regular season starts, the organization is actually dividing into factions. Seasons usually need to develop for such division to occur. In a single post-game speech, Cleveland achieved dysfunction. Analyzing Stefanski's viewpoint reveals intriguing inconsistencies. According to sources, the ownership mandated quarterbacks' preferential treatment during training camp caused annoyance. Every question Sanders asked during a media appearance, Sanders' progressions are highlighted in every practice report, and Sanders' imagery is the focal point of all promotional materials. Stefanski, meanwhile, noted the need for development, maturity issues, and technical shortcomings. It seems that the Rams game interception was the tipping point. Sanders is said to have been audible during a design play that forced a contested throw and caused a turnover. According to Stefanski, this was a pattern that needed to be corrected right away. The goal of public accountability was ostensibly to set standards. Rather, it led to organizational conflict. Gabriel's positioning throughout the drama should not be overlooked. Third-round selection, remaining completely professional in spite of the situation, showing up early, studying a lot, performing flawlessly, never making public remarks about the competition, and just preparing tirelessly in anticipation of the chance. Suddenly, rather than on the basis of merit, they are getting more repetitions. Gabriel is described by sources as an uncomfortable beneficiary of the current circumstance. He is aware of issues with perception. There are issues with legitimacy when starting position is gained by the opponent's absence. According to reports, veterans appreciate Gabriel's strategy despite his impossibility The Sanders camp is strategically mobilizing in the meantime. The agent is having initial conversations about the seriousness of the situation with Brown's front office. Family members offering public support through well-considered social media posts, the marketing team assessing the implications of the contract, the legal team examining possible complaints, and Dejon Sanders himself remaining strategically silent while his presence looms large. This is a well-coordinated response that shows a deep comprehension of leverage dynamics rather than an emotional one. The fan response turns out to be explosive. As expected, social media sites are flooded with fervent debates. Supporters of Sanders emphasize disrespect, question Stefanski's motivations, and cite strong performance metrics. They're threatening merchandise boycotts, planning stadium protests, and making hashtags calling for coaching changes. On the other hand, Stefanski supporters contend that teamwork is important, professionalism is necessary, and discipline matters. They are questioning Sanders' maturity, stressing accountability and importance, and highlighting prior coaching success. Often, the conversation turns poisonous and intimate, exposing more profound rifts within the community. Since absence causes a chain reaction of problems, let's talk about the implications for practice. Without a starting quarterback, the first team offense installs game plan. Gabriel and the receivers are modifying the timing, protection schemes that alter offensive lines. Packages are being redesigned by coaches to accommodate varying skill levels. Preparation difficulties are exacerbated by each missed repetition. The regular season is fast approaching. Opponents in the division with superior defenses. A timetable with little room for early difficulties. Long-term quarterback uncertainty is simply unaffordable for the Browns. Veteran players mounting annoyance is described by sources inside the locker room. Allegedly, one Pro Bowl defender approached Stefanski in private and voiced concerns about his handling. According to reports, another well-known offensive player arranged meetings with players solely in an effort to mediate conflicts. Everyone agreed with the message. Resolution is necessary right away to prevent irreversible harm. Young players aren't overreacting in this case. These are examples of championship experienced veterans identifying signs of dysfunction. They have seen talented rosters ruined by poor leadership. They are making a valiant effort to intervene before history is repeated. Position coaches try to maintain normalcy while acknowledging futility, especially when it comes to telling assistant coaches' reactions. Coordinators acknowledge uncertainty and make necessary adjustments to preparations. Staff members in charge of quality control watch everything, remain silent, and comprehend the ramifications. A number of assistants are said to have privately voiced concerns about Stefanski's strategy, acknowledging the possible career repercussions if the season fails, without publicly challenging authority. Alongside roster divisions, the coaching staff's unity, which is crucial for success, is currently breaking down. This is what makes the situation more exciting than normal rookie arguments. Sanders has real power, a fifth-round contract entails a little outlay of funds, marketing value is exponentially greater than salary, independent of Browns, a national following offers a platform, mobility value is understood by transfer portal generation. He's figuring out if Cleveland is a good place to start or a convenient starting point. Sanders was willing to exercise options in spite of criticism, in contrast to earlier generations who accepted circumstances. There won't be a simple solution. Both sides became defensively entrenched. Stefanski can't seem helpless. Capitulating further undermines authority. Sanders cannot come back unacknowledged. Honor restoration, changes are guaranteed. If nothing is done, the standoff might go on forever, but there is still time. The unbeaten opponent in football. Games are coming up. Decisions are necessary. Everyone loses unless someone makes a compromise. Sophisticated maneuvering is revealed when psychological warfare components are examined. Sanders' absence necessitates an organizational reaction. Without resolution, the pressure grows exponentially every day. Increasing media coverage, fan annoyance is growing, uncertainty among players is increasing, patience of ownership is waning. When faced with an impossible decision, Stefanski either compromises and risks losing credibility or keeps his position, risking the season. Sanders, meanwhile, manipulates the narrative by strategically remaining silent, refraining from open attacks and positional defense, and letting absence speak for itself. The wider ramifications are felt throughout Lee. Other organizations are keeping a careful eye on the situation. Young quarterbacks watching the setting of precedent, coaches assess the limits of authority, draft strategies are being re-examined by front offices. Negotiation opportunities are recognized by agents. This goes beyond Cleveland's dysfunction and could have league-wide effects on organizational dynamics, coaching authority, and player empowerment. Think about the pressure of an immediate schedule. The final preseason game is quickly approaching. The regular season is about to begin. Division games necessitate a great deal of planning. Competent quarterback play is required for primetime appearances. The Browns built their roster with the expectation of instant contention. Defensive additions acquired offensive weapons. A win now window was created by manipulating the salary cap. Rather, before the important games start, the quarterback controversy threatens to throw everything off course. According to sources, Wednesday's practice has a funeral vibe. Coaches putting on a professional front while players perform drills mechanically. Members of the media watch in silence. Everyone is acting normally while acknowledging the seriousness of the situation. By default, Gabrielle gets first team repetitions. Reluctantly, the receivers adjust. Half-heartedly, the offensive line protects. The entire operation felt fleeting, unsustainable, and hollow. Behind the scenes, ownership leading emergency meetings. According to reports, Jimmy Haslam is calling for an immediate resolution. Concerns about brand damage are being voiced by managing partners. Marketing executives are figuring out the implications for revenue. Ineffective narrative management by public relations personnel. Options are being assessed by the legal counsel. Beyond football ramifications, the business operation recognizes the possibility of disaster. Season ticket buyers requesting clarification. Corporate sponsors voiced their worries. One broken relationship threatened the entire business. Sanders' calculated patience most fascinated me. Despite his frustration, the quarterback maintained remarkable composure, according to sources close to him. Independent training, private film studies, physical conditioning, and thorough preparation in the face of uncertainty. This is strategic positioning rather than petty rebellion. He is aware that time works in his favor. Organizational pressure rises daily. Without him, the quality of preparation is reduced in every practice. The narrative of dysfunction is amplified by every media cycle. Desperation is evident in the veterans' increasing attempts at intervention. According to reports, several team leaders have approached each party separately in an effort to build bridges, offer compromise solutions, highlight the possibility of a championship, and issue warnings about missed opportunities. These athletes dedicated their careers to winning titles. Narrow windows are familiar to them. They are observing the emergence of a possible collapse. Stefanski's supporters within the organization are quickly dwindling. One Super Bowl champion reportedly told teammates, "This is exactly how good teams become disasters." The initial support for the accountability stance is eroding when faced with real-world consequences. Privately, assistant coaches ask questions, front desk managers tactfully voicing their concerns. Even generally positive members of the media admit to poor handling. The coach is defending a position that fewer people think is sustainable. However, retreating seems to be just as problematic, setting a precedent for player power that could lead to issues in the future. Don't ignore the financial consequences. The Browns made significant investments to build a competitive roster. Flexibility is limited by Watson's guaranteed money, defensive purchases that need to pay off right away. Functional quarterback play is expected from offensive addition. The competitive performance served as the foundation for the entire financial structure. Return on investment is at risk due to malfunction. Losses are calculated by ownership in addition to wins, taking into account effects on revenue, harm to the brand, and declines in market position. Gabriel, meanwhile, is masterfully handling impossible situations, speaking carefully without expressing preferences, supporting organizations without taking sides, preparing professionally without coming across as opportunistic, and performing competently without going beyond what is necessary. While the media notes maturity, coaches appreciate professionalism, veterans respect approach, and he represents Switzerland in the midst of organizational warfare. Everyone knows he is a stand-in until a solution is found. It is impossible to overestimate the psychological impact throughout the building. Support staff are discouraged, equipment managers are unsure, training staff are perplexed, administrative staff are nervous. Everyone associated with the organization is experiencing instability, productivity is dropping, morale is evaporating, culture is fragmenting, and the invisible infrastructure that supports professional success is currently collapsing due to obvious leadership conflict. The nation's perception is drastically changing. Cleveland changed from a possible sleeper to a symbol of dysfunction. The analytics community makes fun of decision-making. Public criticism from former players, media figures taking sides. The story begins quickly. Browns are going to Brown, another controversy involving the quarterback, another season squandered. Another breakdown in the organization. Instead of trying to break free from historical patterns, the franchise brilliantly reinforced them. According to sources, Thursday's events could be pivotal. Ownership demands a meeting with Stefanski, Sanders, and Barry. The ultimatum was fulfilled: decide right away or risk the repercussions. The organization's current course cannot be maintained. Something has to be altered. Someone has to make a concession. Restoring professional relationships is necessary. There was no more time for posturing. The paths to resolution are still narrow, difficult, and delicate. It seems unlikely that Stefanski will publicly apologize, permanently undermining authority. Given his treatment, it doesn't seem possible that Sanders will return unconditionally. Although it necessitates complex navigation, mutual acknowledgement and respecting positions while moving forward represent the best result. Organizational success must take precedence over personal pride for both parties. It's still unclear if that's feasible. This is no longer about who is correct, as one seasoned executive noted in private. The question is whether anyone lives. Due to self-inflicted dysfunction, the Browns are on the verge of losing another season. A talented roster was squandered. The championship window is closing. The patience of the fans was worn out. Credibility across the country vanished, all because, in the absence of prompt action, post-game criticism escalated beyond recovery and was delivered poorly and received worse. The Shedeur Sanders practice refusal is an organizational crisis that needs to be resolved right away, going beyond a normal quarterback dispute. Preparation, chemistry, culture, and credibility are all harmed every hour when Sanders is not involved. The regular season comes ruthlessly. Rivals get ready in advance. Cleveland collapses spectacularly. This exemplifies how promising seasons turn into catastrophes before they even start. The Browns are in dire need of professional resolution, reasonable compromise, and adult leadership. Football's most compelling immediate question is whether they'll get it before total collapse.